Thank you. It's so good to see so many choir members. I moved the pulpit over here because I wanted to see you all. So it's good to see you this morning. And it is good to see all of you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. It's so good to see all of you. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
It's the winter, isn't it? I was thinking of making this pajama day, but I didn't. But maybe in the middle of the winter we'll do that. Welcome to all of you. A special welcome to anybody for whom it's your first time visiting us. Very welcome to you. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. And what that means is that we hold true to a set of values that include honoring the inherent worth and dignity of everybody. And we not only strive to be a welcoming congregation, but an inclusive congregation. And that means that you, in all your identities, whoever you are welcome here, not only to join us, but to be part of us, for us to get to know you and to change and be impacted by your presence here. We don't hold together because we all believe the same thing. Amen? Amen. But we hold together out of a commitment to love beyond any beliefs that we might hold. So welcome. Welcome to those of you joining us online. Hello, you are in your pajamas. I see. I like the ones with the little feet there. You're glad you can join us. No, I can't actually see them. A couple of you turned around. I really want to also invite you in all of our worship services to make this what you need for you, because we all come with different things as we walk into the room. Some of us have heavy things on our hearts. Some of us are all joyous about the holiday season. So maybe for you, this is a quiet day, and you really want to just sit and hum along to the songs and leave right after service, and that's all fine. Maybe you're in one of those moods where you just want to connect with everybody, and you just feel so joyous. You want to stand on the chairs to sing the hymns. Don't do that, but you can sing out loud. Come to fellowship time, come to second hour, but really make this space a space for you. Except for all of you, you have to sing. If you all hum, that will be something different. Today, I also want to pause to acknowledge a tiny little bend in the arc towards justice that has happened this week, even if we wish that bend might be a little bit more pronounced. But this week, we celebrate the bipartisan effort that resulted in the Respect for Marriage Act. Can I have a yay? Now, this new law overturns the Defense of Marriage Act, which codified marriage as being between one man and one woman only. And I do want to acknowledge that this law doesn't fully recognize all committed family structures, so therefore it is a small victory. The arc of justice is long, as they say, but today we're happy that it is bending in that direction. And let's keep working for all inclusion. And this morning we dedicate our service to the returning of the light as the year of the wheel has turned once again. It is the winter solstice, the darkest night of the year. So we're going to have lots of candles lit up here today. And it's a joy that you are here to welcome, to be with us and to enjoy this coming of the light. So speaking of light and also spirits rising, I'm going to invite you all to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. It is number, I have it right here, 346 if you enjoy having a hymnal in front of you. Otherwise, I think the words will be coming on our screen momentarily. It's Come Sing a Song With Me. It's one of my favorite wintertime hymns. So come, let's sing a song together, everyone.
And Good morning. My name is James Poteet. I'm a member of the worship team and the lead advisor for Emerson's Cobb Gay Straight Alliance. I extend my welcome to each of you. We are so glad you're here. Each Sunday, we light our chalice as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism and our commitment to be a beacon of love and hope in the world. May its light be a reminder that in this community, all that you are will be warmly welcomed. In this season, we also light candles of Advent. In order, the candles represent hope, peace, joy, and today we add love. There is no greater power in the world than love, and through this community, our love is magnified and lives are changed. May we become better givers and receivers of love. For many of us, these candles are also a reminder that the wheel of the year has indeed turned and that the light will return. And now, in the spirit of love, let us greet and welcome each other to the new day as we share our congregational affirmation, "We need not think alike to love alike." Those in the sanctuary, please move around as you offer your greetings, and those online, use the chat or unmute to say hello.
I'm going to take a break in the action here and just say I've heard that there's a little bit more of an echo in here, so that especially up in the choir, they're getting a lot of feedback, so I don't know if we can make the mic just a little less echoey. Did somebody just say that echoey? Welcome to Emerson, those of you that are new. This is us. Hey, if you are young or young at heart, I'd like to invite you up. Art, are we getting any? Is that a little better or still no? And choir, I want to invite you to also, if you want to come down into the chairs while you're not singing, that sometimes helps because it is a little noisy up there. And also, I have a very young and young at heart, Diane Kaiser, who's going to join me this morning. We have a lot of things we're going to do here this morning. Hey, so I'm going to do something that we don't normally do in the middle of a service. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do that so I can do this. I know, who's nervous? You are? The reason I'm doing this is because today's story is about a lamp. And I wanted you to know how lamps are, there's different kinds of lamps, and there's some lamps that are oil lamps, and this is an oil lamp. So if you've never seen this before and you want to come over and look, you can come see. Come on over and peek in there if you don't know this. So there's liquid in there, and that's oil. So for light to have light, it needs a source of energy. And we often see candles, right? So we burn the candle. But lamps sometimes are oil lamps. And I want to tell you a story today. And as a matter of fact, Diane and I are each going to share a little something about light this morning, because many traditions this time of year especially talk about the light. And so Diane and I have two different stories of light. The first one I want to tell you comes from the Jewish tradition, and it involves a lamp. Does anybody know what this is called? This one right here is called a menorah, which actually translates as lamp. Now, often menorahs these days we see them like this where they have candles. But this is a story about an original lamp that was heated by oil. And in this story, it happened a long, long time ago in a place called Israel. And at this time, a long, long time ago, there was a king that came into power. I'm going to give you a hint. He was not a Unitarian Universalist king, okay? He was the kind of king that thought that everybody should have the same religion as he. And he happened to worship Greek gods. And so he decided that everybody had to just be the same religion, and he went into the Jewish temple, and he took it over. And they put up all their own statues, and they made it illegal for anybody to worship any other way. Is that a good idea? What do you think? No, in this, right? Well, luckily there were some people who were some Jewish people called the Maccabees, and they thought, you know what, we're going to fight back. And they did, and eventually they won back their temple. So they go into their temple, and it's like a mess. There's all kinds of things all over the place, all these different statues that aren't part of their faith. So they take them down, and they clean it all up, but they needed some light. And they look around, and they found a menorah. They found the lamp. And in the lamp was a little bit of oil, and they thought, oh, wow, that's only enough oil that's going to probably light this lamp for one day. But they lit it anyway so they could get their work done. And in the meantime, somebody went out and tried to find some more oil, but they couldn't find any oil. So the first day came and went, and guess what happened? The light stayed lit. And the second day came and went, and the light stayed lit. And the third, and the fourth, and the fifth. Guess how many days that lamp stayed lit? I'll give you a hint. How many? 10, close to 10. 8. It stayed lit for 8 days.
Also, the middle candle doesn't stand for in a day. It stands for the middle one, what the other.
That lights the other one. Thank you, that's right. And good math, because there are 9 candles on a menorah, aren't there? So this one lights all the other, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So every year since then, one of the holidays that people who are Jewish celebrate is called Hanukkah. And the reason it's called Hanukkah is because the Hanukkah means dedication, and it happened during this time where they were rededicating this temple. And it honors the light and the miracle of the light, where this little tiny bit of oil that was only supposed to last one day lasted for 8 days. And then they found more oil after that, and they were able to continue. And that is one of their stories of hope and faith. Diane, do you have another story to tell us about light?
I do.
Awesome.
So do y'all like candles? Yeah, I like candles too. The light is really soothing and pleasant. So pagans this time of year celebrate Yule, and we use candles in our celebration of Yule. So you may have heard of Yule as another name for Christmas, and that's not wrong, but pagans have a more specific definition or celebration of Yule. So Yule we celebrate Yule on the winter solstice. So do y'all know what the significance of the winter solstice is? It's a science thing. It's the somethingest day or the somethingest night. What is it? Yes, the shortest day or the longest night. So after the winter solstice, the days start to get longer. So we use the fire of candles, and also sometimes just fire of burning logs, to welcome back the sun and welcome back the longer days. So humans have cycles of activity and rest. So for example, during the course of a day, you sleep sometimes and you're awake sometimes. And so also we have cycles of rest and activity over the course of a year. So in the summertime, when the days are long and it's warm, people are more active. In the wintertime, when the sun sets so early, it's like every time you look out the window, it seems like it's dark already. And and it's cold, and people just don't want to do as much. People just don't have as much energy. And so for pagans, the dark days of the year are a time of rest. And so that's time you want to do some introspection. And so that means you're thinking about how things are going in your life and what you think about that. And then, so when we celebrate Yule, we're celebrating the fact that those more active days are on their way again. And so on Yule, we'll make intentions. And so intentions are like, what do I want for myself for the coming year? And and then we also use the light of candles to welcome back the sun. So in ancient times, like in Northern Europe, they would burn these giant logs, and sometimes an entire tree, to welcome back the light of the sun, the longer days, and the rebirth of the sun. So sometimes they'd take that whole tree, bring it into their house, and like shove it into one end into the fireplace and just keep pushing it in there as it burned. So we have inherited that tradition as the Yule logs. And so here is Emerson's Yule log. And so you notice it has candles on it. Sometimes people will burn the whole Yule log to celebrate the return of the sun, the longer days. A lot of times the Yule log itself is a decoration and we're just burning the candles. And so that's how Emerson's Yule log works. A lot of Yule logs also have greenery on them. So this one has a little bit, but you can't really see it. So greenery, evergreen stuff like holly, mistletoe, ivy. So this time of year, there are when the trees have lost their leaves, they appear to be dead. And but there are some plants that are still green in the wintertime, evergreen. And so to the Druids, the ancient Druids, evergreen represented everlasting life. And the greenery that we have to decorate and to celebrate and on the Yule log also reminds us that even when times are bleak, it seemed bleak, that cycles will turn around and better days are on their way. So that is how pagans also use candles to celebrate our winter holiday.
And you know what, Diane? It made me think of a question. You know, what do you do on a birthday cake? You put candles, and before you blow them out, what do you usually do? You sing happy birthday. What else do you do? CJ? Make a wish. So I wonder, because you were talking about making you kind of set the intentions for the new year, I wonder if that's where that tradition came from.
Some people do consider wishes on the Yule log, the candles be for wishes on the Yule log.
Well, yes, and then we have a little present for each of you. You blow the candles out, that's right, you do blow the candles out when you have a birthday cake. One more. And you think what you're going to wish for. So I'm going to offer each of you a little candle for the holiday season, and I'm going to invite you to come up one by one, and you can pick a color that you would like, and take this home, and maybe with your parents you can decide to put it on the table tonight, because tonight's the longest night, and you can start burning it to bring some light, and maybe make a wish, set an intention for the new year, and this can be your mini returning of the lights. So come on up and take a candle, and then all of you can rise in body or spirit, and we will join together in our song of dedication. Wait 1 second, don't sing yet. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I think Sarah is coming to get you. Thank you. See what happens when you come up and be a young at hearter? You never know. You never know. Any of our youngest children that would like to go off and play? Sarah has you. And for our older children, I'm going to ask us to turn to our time of centering now. You'll notice we mixed up the order of service a little bit for those of you that have the other one memorized, so that's okay. We're going to do something a little different here in the new year. So I'll invite you into a time of centering now. Time to take a breath. It's an interesting phrase, time of centering. It invites us to find that which helps us feel grounded and centered in our bodies, in our minds, and in our hearts. So for you this morning, what will that be? Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths. Maybe it's having your eyes closed or just gazing downward. Take a breath in. Where is your center spot? And what do you find when you get there? This is a time of the returning light. So give yourself this moment to find the location of the light that burns within you. John O'Donohue says there is a quiet light that shines in every heart. It draws no attention to itself, though it is always secretly there. This shy inner light is what enables us to recognize and receive our very presence here. So in this next moment, as you sit in silence, see if you can recognize yourself. From all the places you have come, from all the busyness of your days, give yourself this gift. And then in whatever way feels right for you, I invite you to take a deep breath in. Slowly open your eyes, perhaps gaze upon the candles. We're going to move into our time of sharing our joys and sorrows. James, would you light our candles for us? Each Sunday, we offer this candle lighting table so that as you come in, if there's something you're holding in your heart, someone you're holding in your heart, you can take time and just come over and light a candle as a way to acknowledge them, to bring that love, that presence, that prayer into our sanctuary. So as I share some of the joys and sorrows that were written in our book of Joys and Sorrows, which is also available at the back of the room in the mornings, James will light some candles for us. We begin in the morning, we light 3 candles, and those 3 candles hold some collective sorrows that we hold as a community. The first we light in recognition of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of people who were on this land before us and who were violently removed. Our second candle honors the fact that on this land there was slavery of Africans. And the third candle holds a candle of care for all those in the world who are experiencing conflict, pain, war, suffering. We live in such privilege in this country, and it's important that we remember that that is not true for everyone. I'd like to start with a joy this morning from our community. Speaking of birthday candles, if there's anybody who has a birthday today, let's all say happy birthday to you. And the Holmes family would like to say a special happy 17th birthday to Natalie. Woo! I think your mama wrote this, but maybe your brother wrote this. You amaze me every day, and we love you so much. I'm pretty sure he wrote that. The happy birthday, Natalie. And James, please light a candle for our dear friend Richard Croker as we hold him in our hearts. His brother Robert has moved on. He has passed. Thank you, Emerson, for your prayers and sympathy. And we hold you in our hearts, Richard, during this very tender time. And perhaps there are joys and sorrows that you hold as well that or someone that you're holding in your heart that you would like to speak out loud because maybe you didn't light a candle or maybe you lit a candle and you'd like to have their name spoken. It's a very powerful prayer when we say someone's name out loud. It's like calling in their presence and letting them know that we see no separation between them and us. So as you are ready, please say aloud the name of anyone you are holding in your heart today. Ronnie, Judy. I'd like to invite us into a quiet, reflective hymn. It's hymn number 1031, which is in the TL hymnal. I think the words will be up there. It's our way to transition from this time of holding these collective joys, sorrows, and concerns. It is the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness in singing form. We can stay seated for this. Let's sing to all of us. May we be filled. Choir, does anybody else want to scoodle out to the chairs? You're all good? Okay, because you will be tested on the sermon. So if you can't hear, that's no excuse. So I have a question for you. Over the last months, how many days have you wished that you could just stay under the covers in the morning? Yell out a number. 30. 30? And this month, who has asked themselves the question, why am I so tired? What's wrong with me? Yeah? Anyone? So each December, I go through the same thing. I start getting more tired. I feel stiff. I'm less enthusiastic about starting new things, which for my husband may be a good thing. Maybe even for some of you. Where's Dave Schimmel? And every year I panic just a little and I think, oh no, there's something wrong with me. Why am I like this? Why am I tired? What's wrong? And I run out and I buy green drink mixes and I pull out the multivitamins and I scroll through the latest Instagram exercise videos as if I was going to do any of them anyway. then each year, somewhere amongst the rush to fix myself, I remember there is nothing wrong with me. In fact, my tiredness, my desire to pull inward, my feeling like I wish life would stop for a while, is a sign that there is something very right with me. It is a sign that I am part of this natural world, a world that ebbs and flows and has a season for every purpose. The wrong part is me pretending that everything should stay the same all year round and that I should operate in the same way 12 months a year. The wrong part is thinking that my productivity is supposed to grow month over month like some Fortune 500 business plan. You can say amen once in a while. The wrong part is me forgetting to listen to the wisdom of nature. The birds and squirrels, the deer, the bear, all know that to act the same in December as we did in June would be folly. How many people in the fall, as you watch the trees drop their leaves and pull their energy into their roots, shout at them, "Hey, trees, stop being so lazy. Come on now, buddy. Stay focused. Wake up. Make some more leaves." Do you do that? And yet we often do that to ourselves, don't we? Right? Come on, what's wrong with you? Keep going. We demand that we focus, not rest. Now, while I'm the last one to suggest that winter breaks to warmer climates are not a good thing, especially for those of us that live up north, I do wonder if we too often miss this seasonal opportunity to slow down and pull our focus inward. I can definitely blame our culture for our avoidance of the slowdown, but I also think our avoidance is not just a need for less productivity, but can stem from a fear of what we will encounter when we do make our way in the dark. Celtic poet and philosopher John O'Donohue has written some beautiful things about the darkness. He says, "Though you live and work in the light, you were conceived and shaped in darkness." Darkness is one of our closest companions. Something within us knows the darkness more deeply than it knows the light. I love that image of being shaped in the darkness. For me, that speaks to not just the physical darkness of our pre-birth womb time, but the darkness of our interior worlds, the parts of our lives that are not constantly exposed to the light of day. We are conceived and shaped by that darkness. For me, the winter is a time to remember that though so much of our life happens out here in the space between us, we also have an inner world that calls us to tend to it just as the roots of the tree call it to retreat into them. O'Donohue continues by saying, "In darkness, faces are released from the prison of shape and the burden of exposure. Each thing," he says, "creeps back into its own nature within the shelter of the dark. Darkness is the ancient womb. In darkness, the struggle for identity and impression falls away." Again, I love this man's imagery. Isn't it beautiful? Think about this. Faces are released from the prison of shape, and here's the good part, from the burden of exposure, right? He is saying that our identity, that which we show up in the world as, it needs a rest from the constant exposure to the external. So what happens in the dark when identity and impression fall away? In the Tibetan tradition, there's a story about the great cave-dwelling yogi, Milarepa. It speaks to this tender path of facing what may be in the dark caves of our inner world. It goes like this. One day, Milarepa left his cave to wander around in the world for a while, and when he returned, he found that his cave had been taken over by demons. There were demons everywhere, and his first thought upon seeing them was, "I gotta get rid of these." So he lunged toward them, he chased them around, he tried to forcefully get them out of his cave. But the demons were completely unfazed. In fact, the more he chased them around, the more comfortable and settled in they seemed to become. Realizing his efforts to run them out had failed miserably, Milarepa opted for a new approach and decided to teach them about the Dharma, the way, the deep spiritual teachings. If chasing them out wouldn't work, then hearing the teachings might change their mind and they might go. So he takes his seat and he begins to teach them about existence and non-existence. He teaches them about compassion and kindness, the nature of impermanence. He thought he was really teaching beautifully, and after a while he looks up and he realizes that the demons are still there. And they simply stare at him with their huge bulging eyes. Not a single one is leaving. And at this point, Milarepa lets out a deep breath of surrender, knowing that these demons will not be manipulated into leaving and that maybe he has something to learn from them. So he looks deeply in their eyes of each demon and he bows and he says, "It looks like we're going to be here together for some time. All right, I open myself up to whatever it is you have to teach me." And in that moment, the demons disappear. All but one. The biggest, most fiercest, hugest-eyed one with flaring nostrils and dripping fangs is still there. So Milarepa takes another breath. And he lets go even further. And stepping over to that largest demon, he offers himself up completely. And he just says, "Eat me if you wish." And he places his head in the demon's mouth. And at that moment, the largest demon bows his head and disappears. Now, while there's probably many interpretations of this story, I see the cave as representative of our inner worlds. And the demons in the story are all that is in our life that is too painful to live in the light outside of that cave. They are the things we would rather not face and can more easily avoid when there's lots of light on. Or at least we tell ourselves they're easier to avoid in the daylight. It is only by giving ourselves the time to enter the darkness and face these demons that we can hope to see what they really are. And only then do they have the potential to be released from the prisons of our psyches that hold them there. I love how Milarepa starts off doing what most of us do when we encounter our demons, right? We fight them back, right? We try to bat them away. Why we think this will work is beyond me. It's a comedy of errors, but we give it the old college try, right? We see something in ourselves that we don't like, and we just try to push it away. I relate most to the part in the story where Milarepa tries to teach the demons spiritual stuff. Some of us are especially good at that one. We enter the dark cave of our interior worlds, looking to avoid looking at the demons in the eye, and we give them all kinds of sometimes spiritual, sometimes intellectual contortions, stories, conversations, and we think that this is going to convince these demons to just go away. But our demons just sit there quietly watching our acrobatics, waiting for us to do the hardest task. That hardest task is simply to look them in the eye, making peace with their existence, making peace with the dark inside of each of us. Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I the only one? There's those moments where you sit in the dark of your own interior space and you feel the weight of those things that are dark inside you right there. And you squirm and you squirm and you try to not be present with them. But then there's that moment where you surrender. Sometimes life makes us surrender, right? Sometimes the things outside reflecting that inside are so big, surrender is all we can do. But in that moment, you surrender and invite all that is in you, all that is in the shadows of your heart to teach you. What does it have to teach you? And this is the tender work of the darkness, the work that winter invites us into. It cannot be done in the bright light of our busy lives, but requires a different kind of light. When we stop trying to push the dark away and instead just light a tiny candle of presence, then we can see that the light has changed the shapes of the things in the dark. Isn't it amazing how if we light these candles in this bright room, we notice them, but if the lights were out and it was dark, that single candle would be noticed even more. And it's occurred to me recently that maybe all this talk about the light returning this time of year isn't just about a little more sun coming or an approaching spring. Perhaps the light we are to celebrate this time of year is not the same light that we find in the summer, in external creations. Perhaps the light that returns in the winter is a light that's always been there all along, but it was too bright in our lives for us to notice it. Perhaps it is an inner light that returns, a light born from an encounter with the deepest part of the darkest places of ourselves. And in that light, we all are born. We all are reborn. And maybe that birth is the true birth story of this season. Have you ever gazed at a newborn? Right. It's mesmerizing, isn't it? It takes you to some deep, quiet place. Here is this tiny little being who just emerged from total darkness. Their entire existence up until that point was in the dark. They spent all that time just encountering themselves, creating themselves. And from that kind of encounter, a light is lit. And we can see it in their eyes, right? The baby's eyes and spirit is so bright. It's fresh. It's undivided, right? It's that wholeness. It's that light that still burns bright. And I think the winter and these days invite us to recreate some of that same experience, some of that same womb experience in our own lives. Today we celebrate the winter solstice, and yes, the days will begin to get longer, but really the coldest days are still ahead of us, right? So what will we do with those days? Don't shortchange yourself from the opportunity of this time of year. Don't tell yourself there's something wrong with you when you want to stay in bed or you feel tired. Perhaps it's just your soul, your inner light calling you to notice it. And please, Unitarian Universalists who love to see change in the world, please do not think this work of encountering the darkness is just busy work to keep us going until the real work begins. Parker Palmer, the great Quaker teacher and activist, reminds us, he says, every great movement for social change has been animated by people that have done serious inner work to fuel their heart. Only by taking the inner life seriously and learning how to access and aim that power that is in us could any of the great movements of change have happened. He asks, what makes Rosa Parks or Nelson Mandela is the capacity to take the inner life seriously. And one more, he says, as you muddle through your own version of this darkness, remember that there is an inner light that you and you alone control. Every day, look for some way to show up in your personal, vocational, or public life, whatever life you have. The light that you find in the darkness is the light you may just have been looking for all along. To be sure, just as the crocuses and the daffodils will eventually break through, and the dandelions, they'll all break through the hard ground that encapsulates them now. You too will emerge from the dark explorations that you do in this winter time. You too will be reborn. The wheel of the year will turn again, and when it does, we will celebrate that as well. Here in the darkest night, so much awaits. Let us not miss this gift of nature, and let us remember, even in this dark, the light returns.
It's hard to follow that. Each month we partner with an organization that works to bring greater love, kindness, and justice into the world. And this month's partner is El Refugio. El Refugio has its roots in Georgia Detention Watch, whose members began leading groups to visit immigrants and asylum seekers detained at Stewart Detention Center in 2008. After witnessing the challenges shared by those visiting loved ones at Stewart, a group of friends established El Refugio, or the Refuge, in 2010. El Refugio opened a hospitality house offering meals and lodging at no cost, Perhaps more importantly, they offer friendship and support to the loved ones of immigrants and asylum seekers who are detained. We encourage you to support this important work. Please offer a donation as you are able, or take one of the cards that describes the ways to give. Ways to give are also posted in the chat. All donations, unless otherwise specified, will be shared equally between Emerson and our partner organization. And I would like to add one more thing, and that is we encourage you all to continue bringing food donations for Must Ministries.
For those of you that don't know, that's Irene Scow, home from college, thank you, with her little brother, Lawrence, and big friend, Mark Horn. You guys sounded great together. Awesome.
And Tamsin on the drum earlier.
Oh, and Tamsin, thank you. It's a family affair. Awesome. I'm going to end with a little blessing, and then we'll stand up and sing together. This is a blessing for traveling in the dark by Jan Richardson. She says, "Go slow if you can. Slower, more slowly still. Friendly, dark, or fearsome, this is no place to break your neck by rushing, by running, by crashing into what you cannot see. Then again, it is true, different darks have different tasks. And if you have arrived here unawares, if you have come in peril or in pain, this might be no place you should dawdle. I do not know what these shadows ask of you, what they might hold that means you good or ill. It is not me to reckon whether you should linger or take leave. But this is what I can ask of you, or this is what I can ask for you. There is in the darkness a blessing, that in the shadows there is a welcome, and may you see it. There is that in the night you be encompassed by the love that knows your name. I'm going to read that last part again. Here is what I can ask for you, that in the darkness there is a blessing, that in the shadows there will be a welcome, that in the night you will be encompassed by the love that knows your name. And that is a very good blessing. My friends, let's rise in body or spirit for our final hymn. It is in the teal hymnal, 1008, one of our favorites, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. It's also going to be up on the screen. Then we can extinguish it. Okay, guys. Why didn't somebody tell me?
I think it was worth the demonstration. Not everybody gets to see how this works or what's inside. So, we hope you have been nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. If you would like to know more about Unitarian Universalism or about Emerson, please stop by the welcome table by the front doors, and someone will be there this morning to meet you and talk to you. Please join us this Saturday night, December 24th, for our annual Christmas Eve service of Lessons and Carols. The service begins at 5:30 and will, of course, include the singing of Silent Night as we hold lighted candles. The service will be followed by our traditional soup supper. All are invited to attend, and we ask that you register online on Realm so that we know how much food to prepare. We hope you can join us. A special note, there will not be a service on Sunday, December 25th, Christmas Day. As our chalice is extinguished, please join Reverend Deborah in the final words which are posted in the chat and appear in your order of service.
Oh, we extinguish our, I was waiting for you to do this.
Oh.
We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
Awesome. Go now in peace and take peace and the light. No, don't go.
Not quite yet. There are a few more announcements.
Okay,
I
sorry.
apologize. Join us for refreshments in the fellowship room at the conclusion of service. Those online, of course, can stick around for fellowship time in virtual breakout rooms. At 11:15, we have religious education and exploration for children, youth, and adults. Worship reflections will be here in the sanctuary, and today there will be a holiday carol singing in the wooded area behind the building. Lastly, don't forget about our current Epicurean episode featuring homemade holiday cookies. Pre-ordered boxes will be distributed today, and it's my understanding that the extra cookies will be sold after the service. And now, our service is concluded, but our connection has only begun.
Please go now in peace and take peace and the light wherever you go. Hey, hey. Right here. Stack them up right there, yeah. Okay. And I hear you're transitioning to the junior youth group. That's awesome. Did you hear that? Yeah, not today though. Today you're